I believe that this is the day that the Lord has made, and we must rejoice and be glad in it. And I thank God and Allah for our lives. And those who are feeling not well, we pray that you receive a total healing. For those that have lost your dear ones, we pray that God comforts you. Border to border, city to city, the entire country is tuning in. We are live on 4 radio stations: UBC Butebo, UBC UBC Butebo. We are live and clear on 98.8 FM. If you are in Arua, we are 97.4 FM. If you're in Lira, we are 99.4 FM. And we are also live and clear in Kampala on 98.0 FM. We're also live and clear on another radio station in Western Nile on 98.0 FM, covering Teso sub-region, Lango sub-region, Acholi sub-region, and parts of Karamoja. We're also live and clear on Magic 100 FM and also on YouTube, as I said. Just enter UBC Ground Zero and you'll be part of this very important conversation. I have a privilege and honor that we're going to discuss the security, national security. We're going to be talking about what every Ugandan is concerned. We're going to talk about community vigilance. We're going to talk about everyone's role, the role of a citizen, the role of police, the role of members of parliament, the role of all leaders from LOCs up to the president. We're going to discuss the role of UPDF in making sure that the security of Uganda is at par. Our topic today, we are discussing community vigilance amidst security threats in the country or in Uganda. And I have a very big privilege and honor to have in the studios of UBC now Honorable Dr. Abdul Biakatonda, who is representing the workers in the National Parliament. Honorable, we welcome you on the show for the second time, and you represent the majority. I think the workers is the biggest constituency in Uganda. I don't know whether I'm right on that.
Yeah, right. We actually border to border.
Oh, sure.
Thank you, Amon, for coming up with this very important topic. And once again, I want to thank you for hosting me. As I wait for my other panelists, I want first of all to thank all Ugandans for what they are doing, and especially the workers. What I want to encourage them is to be change agents. I'm a change agent. You can ask me why. Because over the last 20 years, my preoccupation has been rights of people. My preoccupation has been afforestation efforts, planting trees. And I must tell you that all over the country, in the recent past, I was planting trees in the districts of actually Jinja City. I've been to Masaka City, urging people. And of course, before I do that, Amon, let me condole with most of the countries like Morocco. I think you have heard what has happened in Morocco.
Yeah, sure.
The earthquake, I think by then it had claimed about over 600 people. A number of infrastructure deformed and loss of lives. Then I think you have heard about Libya, where floods have claimed over 1,400 people. So these are very serious indicators that we need to have mitigation efforts. Of course, suffice to mention security. These are some of the emerging issues. You cannot actually know the emergencies that we need to work on. And I want to urge all the workers of Uganda, be change agents and ensure that you really stand to be counted and ensure that at least you take an effort, be the lead, be the examples, such that at the end of the day, Uganda becomes a country for us all as it is, so that at the end of the day, we can actually touch up and ensure that we have a contribution that we make. You see, I normally tell people that it is not what we do that matters, but the spillover effect and the lives that we touch. So it's important that at least we take on climate change as a serious matter. Like I've told you, we should really plant trees. Right now, I'm engaging about 5 most poor districts in Uganda, according to the Bureau of Statistics. That's Utaleja. With my partners called EcoTrust, we are planting trees. the district of Chibuku, the district of Budaka, the district of Kaliro, the district of Namtumba. So I want to urge all the workers that are joining shoot and those partners to ensure that at least we do afforestation. This is very important. The floods in Libya can actually come to any country, any time, any minute, without actually any warning. So we need to take on that as we discuss even the security matters. It is very important. That's the way of greeting, and I want to thank you for really welcoming us to the studio and for according us this opportunity under UBC. Thank you so much.
Interesting. Welcome again, Honorable. You've been part of us as a Ground Zero family of Ground Zero team, and we must thank you for always availing yourself to educate, inform, and transform the people of Uganda. We also have a very big privilege and honor to have Brigadier General Felix Kureje, the spokesperson of Uganda People's Defense Forces, one of the pioneers of Ground Zero. Welcome on the show, sir.
Thank you very much, and I salute you, Honorable. Good morning, dear listeners, wherever you are. And I thank God that has enabled us to reach here and to protect us. The disasters, like Honorable was talking about, the floods in Libya, he has spared us. Yes, we have had floods, but not as devastating as the case we see in Libya, where over 6,000 by yesterday had died.
Interesting. And we continue praying that God really protects us, but also help those who are faced with such disasters. God should keep protecting them and also heal those who have been wounded. We're also expecting Assistant Senior Superintendent of Police, Donald Muhwezi, Community Policing Department, and we're going to discuss community vigilance amidst security threats in the country. We must really know that we have been faced with a lot of security threats in the country, security bombs, terrorist attacks. No one is safe in the country. We are not safe in the villages. We are not safe in urban centers. The VIPs have been killed during the light ministers, generals, and also the common person. We're asking ourselves who is secure in this country when we have these terror attacks, when we have bombs every time, when we have those who own the guns shooting guns everywhere. And we have a privilege and honor to have a Brigadier General in the studios who is going to tell us all what it entails and what the country going through and how they are prepared as an institution that is entrusted with the noble role of protecting the people of Uganda and their properties. Let me start with you, General Kureje. Let us go down the rabbit hole of security in the country, but also using also in your capacity, you can update the country on the Operation Shujaa, because some Ugandans believe that all the security threats that we face in the country today are emanating from DRC Congo due to that operation. I don't know how true or false that could be. General, you're welcome.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to correct you. We are safe. When you say no one is safe, it means we should go into hiding. I don't know which banker or can accommodate all of us. We are safe. The difference is that where we are not vigilant, then inevitably these criminals can have space to commit their crimes. You may need to know that terrorism has no boundaries. It has happened in Kenya, Tanzania, it has happened here, it has happened in Ethiopia, it has happened in Pakistan, Somalia. The bottom line, what I would wish the public to know, first and foremost, what's the intention of the terrorist? The terrorist would like to instill fear in the public. That's number one. Number two, the terrorists would like to achieve publicity, to show that despite the operations against them in DRC, they are actually existing. 3, in this particular case, they hope to divert us from DRC to come back home and deal with them, thinking or hoping that we do not have forces in the rear. That was the purpose of Ntoroka attack. That's the purpose of these bombs that were being planned here in Kampala. Fortunately, we were able, again, because of the vigilance at Rubaga Miracle Center, we were able to identify them early. And it would be important that indeed the population remains vigilant, because foundation security depends on the population being alert. 2, on cooperation between the population and the security agencies. So we are secure, however, we need to be alert. And then we, in security agencies, we must be on the lookout for these criminals or suspects. 2, we need to act on information given to us by whoever has information that would lead to ensuring security of the population. Remember, these people live within us. They rent whether houses or apartments within the communities. So the landlords, the communities ought to be alert and ensure that we know who has come in our area. That's what I would think. Now, to think that they have come because we are in Operation Shujaa, that's not correct. Because when they attacked in 2007 and we defeated them in Semliki Valley, I remember I took journalists, including Waguma of UBC. We only had 17 remnants that crossed back to DRC. And as long as a terrorist exists, then he will be able to recruit. What are the sources of recruitment? Those who share his ideology, for example, extremist ideology, because terrorists are normally extremists. 2, those he recruits and indoctrinates, like that's why they take mainly children. 3, financial gain on part of those who are leaders. So we may recall that way back in 1998, we had terrorist attacks in Kampala, where 263 civilians were killed. We had the attacks on Chichwamba Technical School, where almost 80 students were killed by burning in a dormitory. We were not in Shujaa or in DRC. Come to 2010, the terrorist attack in Lugogo during the World Cup finals. Then, many those are the ones before we actually went in for Shujaa. Shujaa begins because when ADF had now grown because of access to resources in DRC, displaced people in DRC, closed schools, closed churches. And so we entered into agreement with the DRC government to deal with that problem. Because if you have safari ants, which the Uganda call Sanafu, you will only deal with them once and for all when you go to the source. Not this mere putting ash around the house and you think you have chased them away. So that's why we are in DRC. And so far the progress is very good. We have rescued almost 60 people, including children that were kidnapped or rather abducted by the ADF, others taken by their own parents, like this particular case of a man who took 4 of the children from Mayuge. 3 of them are dead, 1 girl has survived to tell the story. Now that is extremist. So we can only deal with terrorism if we are vigilant.
Interesting. Thank you, General, and we thank you for the good work well done, rescuing 60 human beings who have been taken by these extremists is extremely recommendable and very vital. Honorable, we've heard from the General. We have not had attacks for the first time, 2007, 2010, and they're still we're still vulnerable to these attacks. When the country is faced with such security threats and challenges, where does Parliament come in, and what is your role?
Thank you very much, Amon. I want to thank Comrade the Honorable Brigadier General Kulaije for the insight that he had put in. You know, I want to say that one, first of all, looking at the topic today, when we look at vigilance, I think we should also look at preparation and then prevention. Those are the three core aspects. You see, I am a student of human behavior, and in there, my dwelling was mostly on sociology of crime. Then there is what we call organized crime. Like he has put it, organized crime has quite a number of connotations. But what I want to say is that, quoting from one of the great presidents, that was Kim Il-sung, he once remarked that man can only be man when he identifies with the collective. Collectivity is a very important aspect in this. I have personally participated in a number of security interventions. I was one of the first Uganda National Students Association. That by then it was actually called Tororo. And my first interface in this office, that was the era of Lakwena. Lakwena. So, but what I want to mention is that one, we are looking at vigilance, preparation, and management. Those are three core aspects which we must actually dwell on if we are to manage a sustainable security system. And of course, this breaks into two core aspects. We are looking at the home security, which internal security, then the external. These are very important. But what I want to mention is that at what point shall we generally have a secure, and when you indicate that when you have a secure country, when you have a secure security, when security is guaranteed, like I want to thank the men and in uniform, the UPDF police and other agencies that have actually managed to make sacrifices. But I want to mention that here, most of these things emanate from what is our emotional intelligence. You find that what is the purpose really of having somebody harm a fellow national, a fellow human being? Because we envisage that we are all equal in the eyes of God. And I wouldn't see where like this occurrence in it was in where where you can come and really hack innocent students, younger kids. Actually, these pictures you cannot actually afford to look at them. So the key thing here, we need to look at emotional intelligence. Do these people have ability to understand? Do they have ability to use their own emotions in the positive ways to relieve stress and ensure that at least community can effectively handle? And do they have empathy that will actually consider their others in all human ways possible? And then how do we become really able to manage challenges, overcome challenges, and diffuse our tensions or conflicts? I think this is very, very core to me. When we have such a setting and mindset, it means that people are self-aware. People are really have actually skills to manage empathy and have a motivation to really understand. You see, I've had an opportunity to study the American system and a number of organizations. You find that when we talk of organized crime, you'll find that you may see me here, but when I'm actually a participant in organized crime, and you'll not actually know.
Absolutely.
So what's important to have a sustainable approach to this. We are stepping up the vigilance. We are looking at the prevention, and then we are looking at the management. And the core aspects in this, you will find that the key tenants or key elements that we need to focus on. How do we have the community participation? Community participation is very key in guaranteeing sustainable security. I do recall, I think most people in this could remember, when I came, I think we were waiting and we're seeing these people really moving all over the place. So some of the community members called me and said, "Are you the youth leader? You come and we go." My first question was, what are they carrying?
Yes.
Of course, now for them they told me they were carrying saucepans. These LMGs, they were calling them saucepans.
Okay.
So we now let's confront them. No, they don't have anything. These ones we can manage. They're only carrying saucepans. So we moved. When we reached there, one of our aggressive boys actually moved very, very as if we were going to hold them. We saw them, the saucepan shooting, and they was putting cold blood.
And realized they were not saucepans.
They were not saucepans. So community participation is very important and partnership. So I think what I want to urge government and the security forces, let's actually do this and have community partnerships. Then of course, what are the aspects of problem solving? Problem solving is very important because most of these you'll find that even when you're in a typical neighborhood, you must actually have those skills and ensure that you embrace the people. Then you must understand. Then the organizational change is very important. Then ethics and prevention. When we do this, it can help us really move a long way in resolving the problem. But I want to mention that why has insecurity actually prevailed? One, we need a change of mindset and actually owning the processes. And when we do this, we can actually understand. Because like I mentioned earlier, when Honorable Kulaji was coming, I was dwelling on telling people, and this is what I normally send, the message I send, objectively, moreover. I tell people we all belong here and this is our country. Why do you hurt your neighbor? Why do you hurt your fellow national? Why does even insecurity become an African problem, like you are seeing? So you find that when I talk of mindset, Honorable Kulaji will bear with me. We have youngsters who are camping on the road with the possibility of having a vehicle get an accident so that they loot.
Yes.
So I think we need to cascade these things into all these development paradigms, program interventions that are coming. I think you see a person who does not lose anything does not actually see the value of security.
No.
But if somebody has started to invest and then a small enterprise, whatever it is, this person will understand the importance of security.
In fact,
yes,
if I may interject here
please.
Information, a person who has nothing to lose will definitely thrive in insecurity because that's what benefits him. Like that, those ones who loot vehicles on accidents, or when there is chaos, they loot merchandise.
For them, they see the opportunity.
Very true.
Yes.
And so I want to mention that one, when we do that, we are ensuring that at least there are civil liberties and security. Which will among other things include, of course, we are looking at how information is available, how the intelligence is gathered. This is very important. Those are key indicators. You will find that even I think even in Uganda and even other countries are trying to do this. But I urge that we develop it further if we have a sustainable security. Then the other one is who are the first responders and the security teams and even among the community. So you find that we need to strike a balance and ensure that we have all this. When we do that, it means that we are handling interests between all those stakeholders of security and then ensure that social liberties. I'm one of the listeners. I want to mention that where there is insecurity, you cannot talk of human rights. You cannot talk of standards of living. All these will be compromised, and I think the doctrine here is that people must understand that when you have a secure country, when you have a secure community, it means you are talking about social liberties. You are talking about standards of living. And likely, you can actually ensure that at least you are talking about economic prosperity. This is very important. So we need to and ensure that at least, because what comes to mind when you are talking to communities, they tell you security problems, those are issues of men in uniform.
Yes.
How does it concern me? I think these are the questions. When maybe Honorable Kulaji is telling people that you can sleep, people not actually understand the essence of sleeping. So we need to move an extra mile and ensure that at least, because I'm in Parliament and I've normally seen how it takes people to haggle. The other day, the president I think was talking about cameras. Then people say, why cameras? What are they for?
Really?
So that means I think we have a mindset challenge. So we need really to look at this. And when we do that, it will mean we have a feeling and then of course we can even enhance on spending on security. And for sustainable purposes, we need to have all the stakeholders involved. Like I talked about the community, like I talked about the collaboration and partnerships. These are very key.
Correct.
And I want to say that when we do that, it would mean we can actually become one of the countries that are secure, and everybody, there will be collective responsibility, like I said about Kim Il-sung. When he said man can only be identified as man when he identifies with the collective.
Right.
Yes, because you will see for having security. But as we talk now, most people don't actually understand. You will find that, for example, when we talk about Second World War, you saw what actually caused a whole world war. These were just that were simmering.
Yes.
So that's why I say the point is quite important.
All right.
And as a human behaviorist, I think we need to look at this and focus. So when you talk of community policing, what after all, is it funded? Are the people really able to interface with the communities regularly and have the appropriate funding that can actually make them register tangible results?
Okay, thank you, Honorable.
Yeah.
We can as well use this very important platform and program to educate the people of Uganda. I would ask you, General Koreje, how can a layman, a common man, a common Ugandan identify someone to be a threat to our security and to our community? Is there any way a civilian like me, I can now identify that someone that I'm seated with in a taxi or a bar or anywhere in a restaurant could be a terrorist or a threat to my life and also to the life of many others in the community?
Of course, not all of us have the same intelligence or abilities. But, for instance, you are in an area and somebody seems suspicious. Take interest. I will give you an example. Last Sunday, I went to church. And across the parking, I saw a man standing. Fortunately, I was early. So 10, 15 minutes, the man is in one position, observing every car that was passing. I took interest. And indeed, somebody from security, I said, have you seen that man? Who is he? What is he doing there? Because for one individual to stand for 10, 15 minutes in one place, certainly he must be up to something. So later we established he was waiting for his brother to take him. Then I settled, I entered the church. The difference, and as the Honorable put it, is about mindset. That this is none of my business, it's business of security. I could have said this is a matter for the police. No, I took interest. So, one, you may be able to identify somebody who is suspicious. But two, look at somebody who is, see someone who is odd in the area. Not everybody that comes in one particular area must be, should be known. But there are those who live there. But then you have a new person, for example. A person who came from somewhere else and has settled there. The question is, where did he come from? The days One was talking about when he was a youth leader, the RCs were very vigilant. You would not come in an area and you don't identify yourself. I remember even as recent as 2005, when I came from the north and I rented a house in Najana Nkumbi, the chairman of the area, after 3 days, was at my gate. Who are you? How comes you have not yet reported yourself to my office? That's the kind of vigilance I'm talking about. Check the example of the 2010 bomb. The detonator was my neighbor. The bomb was next to my wall for a whole week. But when this young man changed behavior, the LC, one Secretary for Defense, actually noticed. But he didn't tell me. It's after the act. Then he says, we saw this boy changing behavior. We saw him, Then I said, if you saw him changing behavior, why didn't you alert me so that I pick interest in him as a security personnel in the area? So this, the Uganda was saying, nti echato kabaka na chimanya wakola wochi. what did you do? If you go to know, what did you do? So identification of a suspect is about seeing an abnormal behavior or unusual behavior. Then a suspicious object, an abandoned bag. Someone has left a rucksack or a school bag. Meaning those are the ones they carry. Unattended to. Why don't you pick interest in this and report it?
I take the bag or I leave it there and report later.
Report it immediately to security personnel. You know. So it's important that we raise our antennas, so to speak, so that you are able to tell, or rather, to deter. Only we was talking about deterrence. You are able to deter because the only way to succeed against terrorism is deterrence. Once a terrorist seeps through the security network, then he has succeeded.
Interesting. You told us about also to be conscious about the objects that we see in our surroundings and in the environment. To report, that's very important. After identifying objects that we suspect to be dangerous or bombs, and what you've said we report later, but you know how
I said don't later.
Immediately.
Yes, because
don't
later,
try to investigate what it is. It is not my role as a citizen.
No, it's your role, but you don't have the expertise.
Interesting. Honorable, we talked about mitigation or and preparations. If the country is faced with such challenges in a situation where the public has been warned of terrorist attack in the near future, what should the public do? Should we remain indoors and wait for clearance from the Afande Courageous, or we get out and we face this by our own, inshallah, as our brothers say in the Muslim community?
Thank you very much. I want to mention that I'm one of those very fast cadres. By 1988, when the RSS system was coming, General Secretary LOC1. The following year, I became General Secretary LOC2. I became LOC3. I became up to LOC4 by RC4 by then.
So you are RC by
yes.
As a career almost.
Almost. But I think those days, what used to happen, there were basic incentives.
Correct.
And you would find that the partnerships were quite strong. In our operations, like Honorable Brigadier General Courageous mentioned, we used even to have programs to move every night. And it was a crime for you not to report a visitor at the LOC. I think these systems have since been adopted in countries like Rwanda.
Yes, very much so.
The vigilance is quite very high.
Even in Tanzania.
Tanzania.
Yes.
But here you'll find that I think there's been some level of complacence. The effect that I think when the Honorable Courageous came and they assured us, I think the masses relaxed. That is, I think we need to really re-emphasize that, because by then we used to make even bylaws on all issues pertaining to aspects of community,
right,
including issues of communal work and that kind of thing. So I think we need to reset these systems. Otherwise, we cannot say, let's just do and. But of course, the purpose was that there was complete integration, so that if the security matter, as we are moving at night, there should be police to know how to handle the matter, or ensure that they record the settlements. Then for us now, we're mandated to mobilize the masses, and this could actually work. This is what we need, because to leave only the security personnel without actual engagement of the masses and the local leadership can actually be expensive. And then at the end of the day, like I mentioned, how can a bomb be there for almost, you said, 2 weeks without people knowing?
Yes.
I think there should be some high level of vigilance. Then the other one is what I want to urge government here. We need to build the synergies.
Yes.
You know, what is internal affairs doing in relationship to Minister of Security? What is the Minister of Security doing in relationship to Minister of local government? Because local government has the structures up to grassroots. And And security has some structures. So can we build synergies and actually come up with a very comprehensive plan? This is what I want to urge government. This could also help. But you find that at times we speak in different tongues. Internal affairs is saying a different thing, security is saying a different thing, and then defense is saying a different thing. We need to build synergies right from the national level up to the grassroots. I think Honorable Kulaji will bear with me in this.
I agree with you.
And then, of course, we need to have constant monitoring and evaluation. What did we do wrong in this place where these people came? And this must actually be told to these people, so that at least we understand. When we do this, we can be able to manage. But I want to encourage that. I want to mention that the challenge was that even the way we're handling the systems. You see now, when money came in, it was the biggest demotivator. The money came in and they said we are giving LS1 chairperson 10,000. Then the 8 people now withdrew.
Yes.
That was a very big challenge. And I think that one we need to address it very urgently. It would have been, let the LS1 chairman get 10, let the vice chairman get maybe 8,000 up to the lowest person. So the other one said, now that one is for chairman LOC1 only. So the people withdrew.
And let the chairman work.
Let the chairman work. So now the chairman cannot even come and tell them, because as he talks, they say, for you are getting salary. For us, we are not getting. So you continue with your work. So that one was a very big differentiating factor. Then even at the level of LOC3, you only gave chairman LOC3. Then the rest of the people didn't. This actually, when you incentivize, we try to incentivize, but then in the way it looks discriminatory.
Yes.
So we need now to get back on the drawing board and see how we can actually address this. So you can't tell them to move. I've been to my villages, and even when you talk of interventions, let the chairman handle. Why? Is the one who is being paid. So to get back to your question, we need to build synergies. We need to build teamworks. We need to have partnerships. And suffice to mention, we must know the importance of security. Otherwise, if you leave it to men in uniform, if we think it is an issue that is really for a few, then it can be a problem. I want to mention that when we have an organized and informed population, we shall have sustainable security, both internal and even external. Then what does your neighbor say? Do they know and watch out for one another? This is very important, because we find that
everyone is minding their own business.
You get a boy who was terrorizing people, you ask the parents, they say, we didn't know. We have been thinking he's sleeping around. When he's cold, that's when you understand.
That he has been here. We suspected him a long time ago.
So I think that is very key. Then the citizens should be involved, and they should volunteer in their communities. When they volunteer, then they can actually seek, like I said, the synergies. How is the police coming in? Can they have community policing? Can they really move together and ensure that at least they coordinate? When they do this is very simple, and we can actually manage Honorable General Kulaji.
Okay.
Then we need coordination between local government, like I said, security. What are the response teams that are available in case of emergencies? Okay, what is the role of the GISOs? What's the role of the DISO? What's the role of the RDC? But you'll find people telling you, I'm the chairman of security. But what are you doing with it as the chairman of security? I'm RDC chairman of security, but they have taken 6 months without even having a security meeting.
Meeting.
So what's that we are
they
doing?
Have security committees.
I think we need really to reinforce these systems and ensure that even incentivize them. It would even be cheaper when we have actually partnerships that are meaningful. And then, of course, you find that coupled with that, you find that the deputy RDC and the RDC don't look eye to eye. The DO and the cow don't look eye to eye. So these are very, very fertile grounds. These fighting actually cause a lot of challenge in the security system. So I want to urge, it's good the spokesperson is here, the Honorable Kulaji. I think these are key takeaways that we need to look at. And me, I would even volunteer to make a paper, such that this paper can be discussed at even a very important fora. Then I think let's get views. We can even generate questionnaires, ask our RDCs and DISOs to circulate it, then we gather information. I'm telling you, when we do this, it will even be very easy. I'm looking at countries where you can actually move and don't even hear of incidences of insecurity. Well, I'm not saying there are gaps, but I think So far so good, but we can build on this and have a very strong and sustained security systems that can actually enhance. And then the other role would be now economic prosperity. We are talking of the PDM now.
Yes.
How does it go? Because if you don't build this resilience and make it sustainable, then even the PDM, they are getting PDM, then you are fighting your neighbor. Get PDM, then you go to court. At the end of the day, you cannot actually register. Then at the end of the day, this person will even be aggrieved because he has even spent money thinking Biakanda will die tomorrow, but he's thinking Biakanda still on the road.
All right.
Then he would actually look for other avenues. So I think these are the issues. And I must tell you, this insecurity within the community, there should be collaborators.
Yes.
And collaborators are based on those flames of conflicts, issues of land. Nani, you took my wife. So this system should be elaborated and handle these grievances. For example, in Finland, their target has been starting from the family. And they are handling issues that pertain to the family. What is that domestic violence? Is it there? How are the people faring? I think, Honorable Kulaji, this should be our preoccupation. And Donald here, who is handling community policy.
All right.
When we do that, we shall actually have sustained security, and we shall even reduce on the costs and even prosper in the very shortest time possible.
Thank you, Honorable. Yeah. We've been joined by Senior Superintendent of Police, Donald Mwezi. Welcome on the show.
Thank you, Amon. Good morning, my very, very senior colleagues, General Kuleja and the Honorable, and Amon and the Ugandans out there listening to me.
I thought we'd tell people that will be in the next hour. Why we didn't start with you. Anyway, we've been talking about community vigilance amidst security threats in the country, and when we talk about security, we cannot forget Uganda Police Force, because you are mandated, you have been given the role and the noble role to protect the people of Uganda and their property. And now people are dying in your hands. When we reported, General Koreje told us when we suspect any individual or any object to be a bomb or anything, we should report to police. And the same police has withdrawn from our communities. The same police takes long to respond to such outcry from the public when we suspect people or when we suspect anything to be a bomb. Why? Why is the problem in terms of police protecting the people of Uganda and their property?
Amon and the listeners out there, before I talk about the problem, allow me to agree with you about the topic, that the community is part of the security apparatus. And I'll give you about 4 reasons. One is that crime, leave alone the terrorism and the bigger cases, crime begins at a lower level, the home and the community. 2, criminals come in the civilian fabric. They enjoy hiding in the community, they enjoy appearing as civilians. It's rare to find criminals putting on uniform or having a headquarters somewhere or sleeping in a certain barracks. 3, in most cases, the communities, the common people, are the victims. 4, they have a constitutional duty. When we ask the community to cooperate with us, you may think it is a favor or... When you read the Constitution, Article 17F, it gives citizens of this country a duty to cooperate with security agencies. This cooperation is entirely what we are talking about. To do what is within your means. To have personal security, to have community security, to feed into the national security. As a state or as security agencies, we have capacities and we have built capabilities over time. But we can't do anything without you. We can't do anything good for you without you. There is nowhere where somebody should sit in his bed or office and cross the legs and close the house and wait for security agencies to do what they're supposed to do without him. That's why those who framed the Constitution gave duties to people. Actually, 17.2 makes it very clear that you who is listening to me there, you actually reserve force. The state can decide to call you for training to protect the sovereignty boundary of this country, to protect the constitution, to arm you and train you. So whether you're in police or prisons or UPDF or you're civilian, you are in reserve. Government can actually call you up.
Voluntary or by force?
The constitution says you can be called for training to defend the constitution. So how you interpret that is not really my duty.
Information, comrade.
Yes, sir.
When there is an emergency, you volunteer. You report the nearest police station for voluntary service.
Absolutely. So when we talk about community, it's not a favor. It's not about community helping.
So the more we get these attacks, the more we should expect Ugandans to come up and volunteer.
It's a mandate. It's a duty that you have in the constitution. About the delay, why police is not there, I don't know which police you're talking about. If you
of recent past, we saw police withdrawing from communities and closing some of the police posts, and we thought we would be increasing more of these police posts, but instead you're withdrawing.
I was still telling you why the communities should actually work with police.
One may think that you're also scared.
One of the biggest reasons why the community should be involved in security is the numbers. If you look at the numbers of the security agencies compared to the main population, you realize that you actually multiply effect. You should be part of us, because you can't have a police officer in every village. You can't have a police officer in every sub-county. Even if you pressed one officer in a sub-county, you realize that you will still have space and gap. But talking about withdrawing police from the community, I don't know which one is the nearest police station here. Walk there and you see what you will find there. You will find masses of people on a Saturday. The only government institution that works 24/7 are the security agencies. Sunday night, you will never find the police closed at night. You will never find police closed on Sunday. If you walk to Chira Road, which is the nearest, I think, here, or Wandegea, you will find people flowing in, getting out, coming in. To the police, which you say has abandoned the people, which is not true. But as an institution, we have challenges. We are not an island. We have financial issues. If you budget fuel for the month, you're not aware of how many crimes will be committed in one night. Chances of fuel or motorcycles responding to one scene and in another scene they are calling you and you wait for the other one to come are high. But when we talk about community policing, is that the community must understand what you're talking about. If you have a police station or a post in your area, do you know how many police officers are there, for starters? Do you know what they go through? Do you own them? I was telling people some time back that in my community we build church, we build the house of Wanamkuru, we clean the compound, we own the church. We buy chairs, but how many people own police stations? How many people walk comfortably with the police to find out if we have fuel, if we have lights, if we have cameras, if we have motorcycles? How many people walk there without issues? Are you telling me that the church in the area is more important than the police?
Not really.
That's what we are calling people. That's why we are saying own us. Let's identify problems together. Let's find solutions together. Let's partner. Where we can't, cooperate.
Let's talk about the vigilance, your efforts and all the measures that you have put to make sure that the community is vigilant. Because you have put cameras, you have deployed everywhere, you have done all that it takes, but the same cameras have been vandalized. The same people that you have deployed have faced a number of challenges. How are you working with the community to make sure that we keep this vigilance alive? Because you said you cannot work without communities, and we have so many structures. Honorable has just told us a number of from the LC. We have an LC of about 9 members. We have the DSOs, we have the GISOs, we have the RDCs, but we still have these security threats and challenges.
In fact, everybody is a leader in a village. If you're not a youth leader, you're a disabled leader, you're a women leader, everybody, every home has a leader now. You have a GISO, you have a PISO, you have LC, you have party structures. So everybody in the community now is a leader. What is missing is leaders or stakeholders in this knowing their role. I came listening to you. The biggest problem is the mindset. Biggest problem is knowing your role in the community. There are areas where the government cannot go to. I do not know whether there will be a time when government will buy padlocks and supply them to people to lock their businesses or their homes. I don't see it coming. Personal security is your responsibility. How you handle your kids at home. We can't deploy police officers in people's bedrooms to stop a man from killing a woman. We won't deploy in your compounds. Find out if you've put all your gadgets, all your instruments inside. But you walk, do an operation and walk around, and you see in the villages, you find a panga outside, a spear out, an axe here. Something that is supposed to protect you is outside, for you inside. And someone comes and uses it on you. That's one. Two, like we all agree that the biggest weapon that civilians or the common person should use is vigilance. It's being alert. It's being conscious. Before you even be vigilant, are you conscious? Do you know something can happen? Do you believe that you can actually prevent crime? Do you know that you can be a victim? Or you are just walking into a Shiba Cindy battle clueless without knowing that anything can happen? And it can, and it has happened in so many countries. Even here, the opposite, where these people were at Chadon, people died. But we still have people who are sleeping while walking. People who want to politicize everything that is in this country, sports, education, economics, security, everything. They want to involve politics. But you want to survive, start with yourself. Be cautious, be vigilant, be alert, and connect with us. If you dial your phone and you don't have the number of your nearest OC, you have a problem. You have your singers and uncles in your phone. I am very sure they won't help you when something happens at your door. But the whole phone is full. You have nothing, not even LC number, not even OC, not even your pastor that you can call, and you sleep comfortably.
All right. Thank you, Afande Donald. The next hour, I'm opening my line on 0776 511 426 is the number that you're going to call us on. But you can as well send your message on 0701 24 26 47, and we're able to read your messages and also your concerns. If I go for the break, Brigadier College, embassies have more often had and seen foreign agencies or embassies in Uganda warn Uganda about the upcoming, if I may use upcoming for the lack of a better word, about the terrorist attacks in the country. Do they have more mitigation or security mitigation measures than you do the national security?
Well, I think the word you wanted to use was either imminent or terror threats that are against the country. No, we don't. It's only that our Ugandans have a neo-colonized mind. When the travel advisory issued by the British government was made, I assured the country that we were secure, but we are aware of these threats. You remember? And then I was accused of demeaning the warning. When we warned and even had the bombs discovered, then you said it was politics. So I fail to understand you. When a foreign government warns...
Why it has to be the embassy or any foreign agency to come out to update the country on security matters? Like the embassy of the US on 12th June warned about the coming terror attack, and on 17th and 18th we experienced it in Kasese, as you just mentioned when we were beginning this conversation.
I think I have told you, maybe we are not hearing each other, that when the warning is made by a foreign embassy, people believe it. When Uganda warns, then it is politics. The case of Rubiriha we are talking about is not actually purely terrorism on its own. There was collaboration from within the school. So that is a different level of criminality, where, like Honorable Aria asked, why are you killing your person or your neighbor? These people were struggling over this property, and in the end, somebody decides to plot such a heinous method of dealing a blow to his rivals. That is certainly a different aspect altogether. Although the act is terrorism, however, the scale or the type of criminality is different. It's terrorism plus. So, but the point I'm making is that we do not take these warnings for granted. Terrorism is fought at these levels. One, at national level, when you do collaboration, coordination within the country between the security agencies, police, intelligence, the military, that's where we start from. Even then, we also have to collaborate with the civilians who give us information, because you are the eyes and ears, like I said earlier. We cannot afford, like Comrade here put it, to put a guard on each person's home or in each village. However, we only succeed because of vigilance. As Honorable put it, step in Rwanda or Tanzania, that very day, the district authorities will have known what happened here. This laissez-faire is simply an offense for any well-intentioned person, for lack of a better word. So we do actually have capacity. Two, we collaborate and coordinate with regional sister agencies. Kenya, Tanzania, Ethiopia, Sudan, South Sudan. Why? Because terrorism knows no borders. The fellows can move, can sneak through the porous borders. Even Trump, who tried to build the wall, did not complete it. So you cannot afford to have a wall around the country. Therefore, porous borders, or even somebody disguising as an innocent person, and yet he has criminal intentions. So it's important to collaborate with the region. Then internationally, these countries you are talking about, we collaborate with security agencies in those countries. So they issue the travel advisory against their citizens, but for us we pick.
I thought that these embassies general, they are supposed to share this information with security agencies. By them taking the lead to inform the public about these security threats, it means that your collaboration or coordination with them is not well.
Not at all. Not at all. When they won, they didn't won the Ugandan public. They won citizens. All right? You happen to hear as a Ugandan, but they did so. But the point I'm emphasizing is that we actually should celebrate our security agencies. That terrorism has not succeeded to a scale they are supposed to. We should be proud of what we have achieved. You could see the guy who was going to CPS, if he had entered the station, what would have happened? But he ended up blowing himself up before he could reach. Or this man at Parliament Avenue, if he had entered Parliament, what do you think would have happened? So it's important. The vigilance that we do saves. It's like saying a stitch in time saves nine. That's the way to go. So it's not as if we don't collaborate. We do, and it's at different levels. The embassies deal with foreign affairs. We deal with our sister security agencies in these countries, and no wonder we actually have a milestone. We have covered quite a lot. Just remember, our neighbors had a case of terrorists occupying a shopping mall for 4 days.
Westgate. In 2007.
Yes. How come that one hasn't happened here? It's because of vigilance. It's because of cooperation and collaboration.
Thank you, General. Founder Donald, on the same, have you considered taking these warnings, especially from the embassies and other international or foreign agencies, serious and prepared to limit the occurrences or you don't give them attention, and that's how the people of Uganda have been able to die in your hands.
Amon and the listeners out there, if you heard General very well, he told you that we cooperate, we share intelligence. Now, you can't share intelligence and then you downplay what they have told you. Terrorism is a global issue. It's not a Ugandan matter. Embassies actually targets sometimes. When they warn their people, what personally I don't agree with their warnings is how you tell people to avoid the country, avoid their hotels, don't work, sleep. Because that is the interpretation. Stay at home, don't work, don't enter hotels, don't do anything. That's what they mean. Do we see terrorists attacking USA? Yes. Do they attack UK and France? Yes. Do you hear anybody in that country advising you not to travel to USA, not to travel to UK? Absolutely not. So, one, we don't take their intelligence or their advice for granted. We share, we compare notes, because at one time they are also targets, and it is our role to protect those embassies. Two, you don't need USA to warn you for you to put a camera on your business. You don't wait for UK to say on 18 something will happen for you to search people. This should be in us. This should be everyday business. But because Ugandans have a colonial mindset that they take things seriously when they come from outside and play games with what we tell them here. Even when we they only had the embassy's warning first. By the time the embassy talked about these things, we had talked.
Why do people of Uganda trust these embassies than security agencies?
I don't think it's trust. It's a lot of peace. Recently I was talking to my 10-year-old kid, and I was talking about how we trekked 10 kilometers to go to school and back. And he said, this is impossible. It can't happen. So situation, when we say something is going to happen, because they have been sleeping, they have been in that mode for a very long time, they don't wake up very fast. Somebody was saying these bombs don't work. These bombs are not really making a lot of noise when they detonate them. These bombs don't. How can they see them very fast? You can imagine that kind of confusion. You want a very robust intelligence system.
Like that one, what happened
you've spent money on security agencies. They are able to see these things in time. You're complaining that they are able to see these things faster. When they don't and people die, you say security forces are not visible. They are in security. They are partisan. They are not anywhere. When they are able to see these things in time, you ask yourself why.
Like that one which happened in Lubaga Cathedral. Someone was asking me, how were they able to see? Maybe they planted it by themselves.
I think it's in Uganda where expertise does not matter. You will find that I think when there's a bomb, anybody will have information which is he thinks is adequate. You will say, but when the bomb give direction to police. But I think what I want to mention here again, as well information, this is not for Arnold, this is for us. Because the role of appropriation lies in the parliament.
Yes.
But what is important is to ensure that, at least like I said, we build the synergies. You see, how do we perceive community policing? Is it important at all? How do we perceive operations? Is it important at all? Do they take a back seat or they take forefront? I think this is very important. And the other one is, are the people comfortable when they see money being allocated to police? I must mention that one, in the recent past before I came to Parliament, I was in the Ministry of Public Service on a committee called National Negotiating. So we came up with a collective bargaining agreement. Actually, the first one. But I think I saw how people really perceive things. You could say, I think, let's look at the police. They should begin like, why, what way?
Okay.
Then I actually ended up most people were not signing the collective bargaining agreement. And if we had that, it would actually help us to understand the key things.
Okay.
Donald cannot mention this, but I think even you go to police, can you go for community policing? They don't even have a motorcycle. They don't even have fuel. So I think we need to come up with a number of these, such that we can even go to relevant committees and tell them they need with justification. So I think that's what I talked about synergies. You may find that finance may not actually understand the importance. Internal affairs is trying this. Security is trying this. Local government doesn't even know whether it is necessary. So I think we need to build synergies and
but
move.
also, Honorable, on
Yes.
the issue of warning that we just concluded with Founder Donald and Brigadier General Koreje, do you think these warnings, especially from both security agencies and embassies, help the people to be security conscious, or they increase fear in public and so they become insecure always?
Of course, that is human nature. You see, like Entebbe now, I don't know how many planes have landed. But if you get one which has failed, that will take global news. So that's human nature. And then, of course, they say success has got so many good fathers, whereas failure is normally an orphan.
Yes.
So, but if Uganda can strengthen and ensure that at least we have gone 5 years without actually such things actually happening, then they will actually copy. Yeah. So it's human nature. But I want to say that the key attributes must be monitored, such that we see an organized and informed population, very serious partnerships. I think these are the key takeaways. And then where people have knowledge, where people watch on each other, where we can actually have volunteers, and then coordination between the communities and all stakeholders. This is what I think I would envisage and take as a key takeaway.
Thank you, Honorable.
Yeah.
This is UBC Ground Zero. We're live and clear on forward stations, UBC Butebo, UBC in Eastern Uganda, and we're also live and clear on Western Nile FM in Western Nile, covering also Lango sub-region, actually sub-region, Karamoja sub-region. And also we're live and clear on Magic 100 FM, covering all central parts of this country. And this is UBC Red, covering entire Uganda. Ground Zero takes a very short break. We're coming back in just a bit. Send your messages on 0701 24 26 47. I'll be reading one by one, and also after the break, I'll start receiving your calls on 0776 511 426. We're coming back in a bit. I pray you don't go away.
This is Ground Zero Season 2. Stay tuned. We shall be right back. It's hot.
That's it. We didn't know exactly what the problem was on the ground. There is no pretending about the effect of this thing. There's no pretending about it. Nobody should. It's a problem.
It's balanced.
This is not the stage at which you start planning to tax a commodity like coffee, especially from down there.
It's intellectually engaging.
The Constitution provides that the land must be registered under the customer tenure system, which is one of those that's recognized by the Constitution.
Ground Zero Season 2, live and syndicated on your public and national broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
This is UBC Radio. Tune in for news.
At UBC Radio, we bring you Uganda's latest news and information.
Focus on Parliament.
What we need to do, the Prime Minister must give us the position before we finalize with the budgeting process.
Enjoy sports. The environment. Politics.
The mission we have is socio-economic transformation.
Health. Entertainment. Updates in education. On the farm. Keep tuned into UBC Radio, inspiring.
At UBC Radio, all our radio network across the country is committed to inform, entertain, educate, and guide for national transformation.
Our own radio, UBC, should set its own example. Leka bano abatafa ku bantu baffe bagumaza ndowooza muganda kitwa kugumaza to divert people. Let our own UBC bring programs to educate the people so that abagala kugumaza babeereyo bagumaza naye naffe they can advise, guide. And people in time will judge the one who is their friend and who is just using them.
Tune into UBC Radios for credible socio-economic programs. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
It's hot.
That's it. We didn't know exactly what the problem was on the ground. There is no pretending about the effect of this thing. There's no pretending about it. Nobody should. It's a problem.
It's balanced.
This is not the stage at which you start planning to tax a commodity like coffee, especially from down there.
It's intellectually engaging.
The Constitution provides that the land must be registered under the casual tenure system, which is one of those that's recognized by the Constitution.
Ground Zero Season 2, live and syndicated on your public and national broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda. Welcome back. Ground Zero Season 2 continues.
Hello dear listener, welcome back from that very short break. This is UBC Ground Zero. We are live on 4 radio stations covering entire Uganda. We are live on UBC Radio on 98.0 FM. We're also live and clear on Butebo Radio in Mbale. In Mbale, you can get us on 96.9 FM. If you're in Soroti, we are on 98.4 FM. If you're in Arua, we are on 95.5 FM. If you are in we're also live and clear on Western Nile Radio on 98.0 FM, covering Western Nile, Acholi, Lango, Teso, and Karamoja sub-regions. We're also live and clear on Match 100 FM. We are discussing community vigilance amidst security threats in the Uganda, and I have a big privilege and honor to have Brigadier General Felix Kuleje, the defense spokesperson. We also have Honorable Dr. Abdul Biakatonda is the MP representing workers in the National Parliament. We also have Senior Superintendent of Police, Donald Mwezi, coming from Community Policing Department. Ampaire Amanoptega is my name, and this is UBC Ground Zero. 776-511-426 is the number you can call. Caller?
Hello?
You're live and clear. This is UBC Ground Zero.
Okay, thank you very much. This is Henry Baguma.
Most welcome.
And I thank Fandi Kreje and team for this very exclusive and elaborative information.
All right.
My contribution to this subject is, first of all, politicizing almost everything in this country. To me, it seems to be a big challenge. Everything you touch in this country now has become political. You touch something, somebody refers to another person. And you find some of our technical officers are even fearing to take decisions because of politics. So the question of politicization needs to be studied thoroughly. And I'm happy we have a member of parliament there. They need to give us their version. Everything has become political. Now, security, for example, whenever you talk about security, people target to politics. And that's number one. Number two, I wonder what happened to our resistance council, AROCs. I would like to hear our MP also his contribution. How strong are our local councils now? Because the resistance councils, RCs of those days, it was resistance councils. Why they changed the name to local government, I don't know. Because then resistance councils were to resist things that are bad, to ensure things are good in the villages. Then the name was changed to local government. Since then, they went to bed. And apparently someone mentioned there that these people are getting 10,000. I want to inform him, or his honorable, that there is no money yet. These people are still demanding 1 year. Later, they have not been paid their money over the past 1 year. That can be confirmed. So, they need to go back to the 1986 drawing board and study why was security good at that time and why is it becoming bad today. Remember, the ROCs, how they used to be, if I find they could testify to me. They would collect all the guns. I mean, the villages, everybody knew each other. They knew the chief, they knew the who. Then finally, they used to have monthly meetings. There was also local trends, LDUs, who were localized. Today, LDU, I don't know, because some people don't know who is the LDU in the village. They don't even know who is the person in the village. So that's my contribution, that we need to go back to 1986, drawing board, open the books of that time and study and see what went wrong. Thank you very much. I remain Henry Waguma.
Thank you, Henry Waguma, for those interesting remarks. 776511426. UBC.
Hello.
Hello, you're live and clear.
Thank you for the program.
Welcome.
I'm Shira from Bugolobi.
Yes.
My question is, why are these rebels attacking us? Are they fighting political or religious wars? Since of them are Muslims.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Sheila from Golobi, greetings to the people of Golobi. We're fighting the political wars, or these are religious wars. 776-511-426 is the number you can call right now and raise your concerns to be addressed by my guests in the studios. But also keep your messages coming through on 0701 24 26 47. Simon Peter in Ginger, you say police needs to calm down and coordinate with the community. You are there in offices, and those that are on the police stations, they keep themselves busy there. Security is in the community, like Afande Donald said. Jackie Akelo in Kampala says, the whistleblowers, how can you coordinate with the police? Yet when we report these suspects, you tend to involve us in the case. All right. But also Majambere said, terrorist attacks take place everywhere in the world, and the real authors tend to come out and claim responsibility of such attacks. I don't know whether it is by design or by law to do that. How come the attacks that happen in Uganda, no terrorist group claims them, but we still attach them to one of the rebel groups? Could this be impersonation or blame game? Keep your messages coming through 0701. I'll be reading one by one. And also this one says, Agatha, I didn't say put where you're listening from, but says, Parliament, you are representing us, but when we're in problems, you don't mind. And that's how the people of Uganda are dying in your hands. Keep your messages coming through. We'll be reading one by one. Allow me now to get in the studios for my guests to address some of these concerns. We shall keep reading the messages, but also you can keep calling. If we get time, we'll be receiving the calls. Let me start with you, Brigadier General Felix Koleje, to answer this number of issues from the people of Uganda.
You know, I was on one of the TV stations, and a member of parliament from Chiboga, the woman MP, alleged that these people are fighting for leadership. I think ADF has been at it since 1996. I'm yet to hear their political agenda. I'm yet, since 1996. And so I did request this member of parliament to probably help us, since for you said they are fighting for leadership. Maybe you have had a discussion with them. Please advise us how to go about it. And then she was quick to run away. That no, I have not. But you say they are fighting for leadership. Do you fight for leadership by killing the very people you are supposed to lead? You see how shallow some of these individuals can be in their reasoning. You are talking about a terrorist. In Kenya, was it about leadership? The terrorists in the Maghreb region or the Sahel, the terrorists in the Middle East or Pakistan. The other day they lost, I think, about
some of these are fighting to have the Muslim religion acted in especially in Somalia. If we talk about that, those are more of religious fundamentalists.
So it's not about religion per se. It's an extremist ideology that drives them. Extremist means that either you are with me or you should not exist. But again, some of the individuals are actually Christians. The other day, the fellow we arrested taking bomb-making materials was a Christian, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not about religion. It's extremism in ideology. The white supremacists in the United States are not Muslims, but they do kill people. This man in Kenya, the so-called apostle, pastor, who encouraged his people to die killed some of them in their hundreds, is not a Muslim. Chibwetere.
He was a Christian.
He was a Catholic. A very, very extremist, actually, Catholic. Father, what? His colleague, Father somebody. Yes. The issue, Mwerinde. Mwerinde was the nun. The point is, once an extremist ideology has entered your mind, then it doesn't matter what it takes. It doesn't matter who will be involved. Because here some people used to think terrorists were of Somali origin. We have since discovered many Ugandans are involved. Kenyans, Tanzanians, Burundi, the fellows we got in that bombing, that's the sweep we did after the Rugogo bombing. One was a Murundi, the other one was a Muchiga. So it's not about tribe, and that's why I keep on saying terrorism has no face, no tribe, no religion. What is important? It is we to monitor, to coordinate, cooperation and collaborate to deter. Because once again, if a terrorist goes through the security screen we are mentioning above, he has succeeded.
Okay. Afande Donald?
Sheila calls them Muslims, which we've really talked about here that it is not true. They get those names, Qasim, Abdul, Muhammad. The other time the president told you how he used to call himself Haji Qasim, but was he a Muslim? And people believed him. And most of these other people, you have Saleh, you had Shefali, you had people get names, and people want to attach names to tribe, to Byakatonda should not really be a Mnyankore or a specific tribe.
But he's not.
Absolutely, and he's here.
But the other day when they were ranking, they put him in Kigezi.
Yes.
So that's the problem that people have. When you try to put terrorism to a certain group, you will miss the point. If you want to search people with Intarabusa and Ekanzu, then you have a problem. If you think you are in NUP or NRM and this is for FDC, you are finished. It has no face, like Afande has said. Two, if it was for politics, if it was for leadership, I have heard people say change, overstaying power, but we've had Kenya where people change and move every after 4 years. We have USA where people, the other time we had Trump, now we have Biden, but they attacked. So it has nothing to do with who is in the government. 3, somebody is asking about whistleblowers reporting and then they're involved.
Someone comes to report them, like I may suspect my neighbor, but when I reach police or any detach or military detach, you will tell me you have to show where you have seen these people. I have to walk but this is my neighbor, and by reporting or involving myself in that crime or in the case may not bring me that better relations with my neighbors.
There are 2 issues here. You're reporting as a complainant, or
I'm suspecting,
or you're a whistleblower.
I'm a whistleblower.
There's a law protecting whistleblowers in this country. But that aside, we know there are people who actually commit crimes and report as whistleblowers. There is a case in this country where somebody killed a person, carried the person to hospital as somebody who was helped. I am sure you know that person. Somebody killed, shot somebody, carried the same person to the hospital, and by investigation we found that the person who was a good Samaritan was actually the suspect. So it's possible for you to do something. It's possible to have political differences with your neighbor. It's possible to have economic issues, and you come and report. But that aside, police must know whether you are a complainant in the matter or you have information, and we know how to receive information. Not every information is actually taken in as useful. Some is Rugambo, another one is the personal issues, the other is about my neighbor who didn't vote me, this one is about the other one is this tribe. If we were to take over all this, we would be having innocent people inside. But police officers are trained to know and to use this information the way they want. And somebody who talked about police should calm down. I agree. Policing within your office or within your headquarters is old school. It no longer makes sense now. You must move. You must mix with the community.
Are you reconsidering putting back those police posts?
The police posts you're talking about are on a different issue. Police officers are not like beans. You don't go distributing them. Police officers need guns, need training, need structures. If you put a police post and you want 3 police officers and one is sick and the other one is working 24, he will get tired. So we merge to make more sense. Where you reach at a station, you find all departments available: traffic, CID, intelligence, general duties. But what we used to have was the 3 people, 2 people. Somebody puts a market and puts a Kazugwa and says, this is your police. After 6 months, you don't want to pay. The community says, we are going to pay. After 3 months, they neglect paying, and then the landlord chases us. So we merge posts to get enough numbers. So that if you call, 6 people can respond, 2 people can stay.
Thank you.
Than having 2 here, 3 there, 4 here.
The last one on that?
The last one was, I agree with Baguma. Baguma says, politicizing everything. I can assure you, when we're talking about liberty, economics, freedom, and security puts the rest down. We are in this studio. If they tell us that there is a bomb at the gate, this show will stop. I can assure you. If Parliament is going on, there is a session, and they say there is a bomb at the gate, the session stops there.
They were asking me what happened on that day of the Parliament Avenue incident.
Where were you finally?
I was at the President's office. And then I saw everybody ran out.
The man was entering the gate.
Now everybody got out, and they were seeing me going in. They said, but I said that one was already gone off.
So when it comes to security, the rest of the things must wait. True. Whether there is freedom to walk, whether there is freedom to speak, whether there is freedom of this show, security puts the rest of the things down. Because what you want to do must happen in an orderly manner. There must be order in this country for you to have your rights, to have your freedoms, to associate, to do not mix security with anything. Because security is not an end in itself. Security is there for business. Security is there for development. Security is there for your other rights. So when you want to cover security with other things, if you want security to not to work today and the human rights work, you will be in trouble.
Thank you, Fande. Honorable, our time is not on our side.
Thank you very much. In the interest of time, I would like to thank all the listeners and, of course, the colleague panelists and you, Amon. But I think what I want to mention is that, one, we must own the processes and change our mindsets to know that what pertains to the other person pertains to you, and ensure that at least we step up the measurements of vigilance. Let's be active and have thriving neighborhoods. Ensure that at least we build strong partnerships and cooperations with the security agencies. That will help us. Then, of course, the other one is let the security teams come up and really talk about their problems, because it is embarrassing to have a challenge, then that's when you are starting. You should be proactive, not reactive. So at the end of the day, we can actually have a sustained, because you'll bear with me, some countries are even reducing on courts of law because of low crime rates.
Yes.
So this is what we need as Uganda. Somebody asked why when I'm representing them, but when they have problems, I'm not available. I am available, and that's why I said in the opening of this session, that this program, that I urge workers really to start taking the lead in all number of programs, especially even planting trees, because climate change is real. And we mentioned about how Libya, the floods in Libya have claimed so many lives.
It's a security issue.
It's a security issue. We mentioned about Morocco.
Environmental security.
So environmental security is very important. So and workers, let me tell you one thing: the temperatures are going to be so high to the effect that we may not even sit in offices.
Yes.
In Uganda, I think in some areas people are sleeping outside their houses because of the hostile environment. So the time is now. We need really to move. Mr. Waguma, I thank you for that. You see me at Parliament. When they ask me to speak about a topic, I'll tell you what topic is that. If you tell me and I'm not aware, I'll tell you no. No, thank you. But in Uganda, everybody will want to speak about a very topic. Whether what, then you wonder what's happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes.
Moderator,
please.
Mr. Waguma asked a question. The resistance councils were vigilant and effective. What happened?
Yes, by the way, RC to LOC.
Yes.
Yes.
What happened? And I would like to assure him.
And whose role to wake them up?
Well, it is the leaders in mobilization
and leaders at all levels.
And we said building synergies.
And building synergy.
And ensuring that we incentivize
but
them.
Me, in my humble opinion, the moment we introduced elections in LOCs, then we did undermine the effectiveness. Because now you find somebody is minding about the next election, he's fearing to antagonize, so-called antagonize, those that are
criminals.
Those that are to vote for him.
Even when they are criminals.
Even when they are criminals. So, and as you may notice, many of the occasions, the LOCs are rated in terms of the committee members could be rated since they are coming from the same village.
Because of the numbers.
Because of the numbers. So,
okay.
Therefore, and then others, we had the case in Chisenyi during Operation Wembley. All the 9 were thieves. Were thieves. So it's important that one, if we are to go back to the drawing board, it's not anything. It's not only sophisticated.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you, General. I would love to us to look at the future of Uganda with these increasing cases of securities and terrorism activities in the country. We cannot really take these attacks for granted. ADF and other military groups have been fighting for 20 years and more, as you said, General, that they started as early in 1996. And we can pick a leaf from what is taking place or happening in Khartoum, where the military groups finally disorganized, disabled, and took over Sudan. How secure is the future of Uganda in terms of security amidst these security threats in the country? But we also must remember that Sereka rebels are controlling some parts of Central African Republic, parts of DRC Congo, especially in the north, and partly Sudan. And most of these places have been secured to supply or use as the route for the logistics to supply the ADF in some parts of DRC, like in Isiro and Buta. DRC is not spared, where some parts in the central and eastern are controlled by the warlords. We see our neighbors in the region, Somalia, have been destabilized by the Al-Shabaab for some time, and now Somalia is under the control of international armies. What is the future? Or what is next for Uganda in terms of security? Let me start with you, General.
First and foremost, we need to appreciate the region we find ourselves in. The geopolitical nature of East Africa or East and Central. One, we find ourselves in a region that has 3 conflict systems. The Great Lakes conflict system, the Horn of Africa conflict system, and the Sudan conflict system. Unfortunately, these conflicts are simply reoccurring. It's as if they are being reborn. Ethiopia has been stable for a very long time, since 1994, 91, when the EPRDF took over. What happened the other day? The Tigrinyas decided to break away. And there is a foreign hand in it. Of course, you know Somalia, you have just rightly put it. Sudan, Khartoum has always fought with the Janjaweed in the west, in Darfur, and the other militias in Kordofan. Now, the militias in Darfur become part of the army, of the state, and then they're fighting each other. What happened? The center of gravity was damaged. The overthrow of al-Bashir simply put the country to what you are seeing today. Look at Libya. Now they have the floods. The removal of Gaddafi, which some opposition politicians here celebrated, thinking the same would happen here.
Mm-hmm.
Now the Libyans wish for Gaddafi, they can't have him. The warlords in Libya have been at it. Now the floods have also killed them. You have the terrorists in the Sahel region, whom I had mentioned earlier. when Gaddafi was in power, he had controlled terrorism in the Horn of Africa, in the Maghreb and Sahel region. They got freedom when the man was removed. As a consequence, you see the instability that is cutting across Africa. This is not coincidental.
What could be the permanent solution to this if Uganda would not take up the route that these countries have taken? Because we have the military groups like Sudan you just mentioned.
The solution lies in the following. One, coordination and first of all,
East Africa.
East African integration, so that we synergize the resources, we synergize security. Two, where a country faces has a weak state, like some of these, integrate will in strengthening the body politic of that country. The DRC are talking about has over 100 militias. It's not only those ones we are mentioning. And the unfortunate part is that some of the authorities in the DRC are focused on only M23, which incidentally are fighting for political reasons. The are not. M23 is not. FDLR is a Rwandese militia. It has no political interest in DRC.
But and so is ADF.
So is ADF there. So the point is, we need to synergize. 3, we must indeed work on the mindset of the East Africans and the Africans in general. One, that the solution lies within our hands, not outsiders. No others living. And that's it. The international community is who? Okay, now they are in their own trouble. So they are sucked into Ukraine. What are you going to do? Number 5, we must address the question of food security, because some of these individuals that are attracted into insurgency are because of the conditions of living. So we must address poverty. We must address the question of working conditions. This aspect or notion of thinking government will be the employer all the time need to be addressed. That we, not all of us who were educated by public servants. No. My father was a peasant, but he was able to sustain himself and his family. Some of the policies, and honorable, this one I request that we bring it to Parliament again, because I tried during the 10th Parliament. To address food security, it requires every homestead to have a granary. This was the case in the 70s and 60s.
Okay. Thank you, General. Afande Donald, on the same, the future of Uganda in terms of security. On the side of police, have you thought of bringing these criminals? We are not talking about, maybe this case we may not talk about thieves, but we're talking about thieves and robbers in the city of Kampala and many other places. Have you considered bringing these criminals on board, maybe negotiating with them? I remember Pades Selunjoji, popularly known as Sobi, the popular thief, was once converted to be a crime preventer. Sobi says, Sobi testified that during the anti-robbery operation by police, thieves would, of course, steal, but would share with some police. Does this in any way mean that police is involved in this crime?
Amon, I may not go into the Sobi stories because they are not valid. What I want to say is that Uganda has not been stable.
Even when it is on record, sir?
Uganda has not been stable by accident. There are deliberate strategies in this country to make Uganda stable. Fandekoreja has told you we are in the ocean of violence. We are between countries that have been unstable for ages. This means weapons crossing, terrorists planning from one country and attacking another, our own suspects running to countries that we don't have agreement on Interpol issues. We are aware, and I can assure you, we have not been stable by chance. Yeah. 2, there's a theory called the broken window theory. That something that begins small in your home or your house or your community, after some time can actually be a global issue. These people that we get have a record of school dropout, leaving their homes, becoming problems in their society, and slowly they become a national issue. Once everybody does his role, starting with your kids at home, going to the society, the lowest unit, you will have no big issues at a national level. 3 is that we cooperate, like Afanda told you. Our forces cooperate at a regional level. You see UPDF in Congo. That's part of stabilizing Uganda. We are in Somalia. Because you're looking for the source of the trouble, you don't wait for the trouble to come and find you here. 3, training and having a robust security system. You may play your games, but I'm sure almost everybody knows that our security system is strong, and not by chance. They have trained the body, they have trained the mind, they are conscious, and they are very, very, very conscious about the security system in this country. 4, we must mobilize everybody, because everyone is a stakeholder in security. Unlike other concepts, unlike other stories, you may be of a certain party and I'm not interested in your party. You may be selling some things and I'm selling a different story. But when it comes to security, we are all concerned, and we must mobilize everybody to be on board. Like in other countries, they have told you when you land in Tanzania, somebody who reports you is not a security officer. But here it is them versus us. Where was police? For you, where were you? The issue of them versus us must stop. Lastly is coexistence. Even when we don't believe in the same concept, we must put platforms to debate. If you have another issue, if you have a different strategy, if you have a different political magic that you want to put in this country, you should be given opportunity to discuss it. Intolerance is what breeds terrorism. If somebody cannot wait and listen to me on this show, then he will move out. The next day he will find a way of stopping me from talking. So as a country, we must allow people with different views to debate, to convince us.
All right.
So that we will move together.
Thank you, Afande. Honorable Abdul.
Thank you very much. I think I want to start with Honorable Klage's observation on food security. It's very important. You see, there is nothing difficult to manage like an angry man.
A hungry man is an angry one.
You see now, and you see there was a commitment, we talked about the Malabo Declaration.
Yes.
We are talking of 10% at least of the budget. But I think we have not implemented it fully. So when you come up with that paper, I would be privileged really to join hands and we move it. It's very important. But what I want to mention is that what's happening, like somebody mentioned, is a miscarriage of democracy. And you see, it is very dangerous for somebody to say, let's kill the driver, then he tells you nobody can drive the vehicle. In most cases, we are seeing that the coups have opened, people actually anticipate a lot, and they run the streets. But at the end of that day, like Honorable Klaje mentioned about Libya, they realize they cannot find bread. And yet, there are the number of policies. So I think let's actually have trust.
Okay.
And ensure that we have good policies that can help us.
All right.
Then the other one, let's actually ensure that at least we have information sharing. And at the end of the day, the time can come when you have good policies. If you think your policies are better. For me, people used to tell me, why don't you go to Parliament? I told them the right time is not yet. But I'm now in Parliament. And I think we should really be patient and ensure that we move within a strategic direction. And then let's have ideas. But I want us to encourage open communication, such that at least you have ideas, bring them forward. Fernando Dia can actually take up the ideas. Then at the end of the day, we can be able to move and ensure that we are sustainable in terms of the growth, in terms of the economics, At the end of that, it is possible. And I think we need to rebrand as a country and ensure that at least there is room for innovation. Let you bring your ideas such that at the end of the day, because there's what we call the easy to riot. The easy to riot, these are the people who will actually ensure that maybe they have been subordinated for a long time and they want to take center stage. At the end of the day, ask them, what's the policy? Then there's no direction. So it defeats logic. And I think we shouldn't go for that as a country. Let's have commitment, problem solving, and creative thinking.
Thank you, Honorable.
Help us, yes.
Gentlemen, and I would love us to discuss the gun ownership and control. If you see most of the insecurities, if we go outside the line of terrorism and terrorist attacks, the people of Uganda have been killed by those who own the guns. Let me start with you, Honorable, on the side of Parliament. Have you thought of bringing a law in Parliament that would control who owns the gun and how it should be used?
Thank you very much. I think on that one, there are laws that pertaining to governance of guns. But like we said, mindset and character, those are the key things. You'll find that everybody who owns a gun knows the use of the gun. But of course, some people carry them high-handedly and divert the proper use of the guns. Otherwise, the laws are very clear and the regulations are very clear. And at the end of the day, you see, what I want to mention here, you find that even that person contemplating suicide, by the time he goes on the rope, he realizes, oh, I needed my life. Why have I done that? But it will be too late. So by the time somebody holds a trigger, then that's when he will come to his senses. And it will be too late.
All right.
Yeah.
People of Uganda have been killed, especially in bars, by armed men, especially from police and also UPDF. Should we now start looking for means of how we can create a bus for armed men and also for civilians? The other day, my friend was telling me, if you enter a bar and you find someone who is armed, you better go to another place. Have we reached that extent of fearing to happen with you who are armed? Let me start with you, General.
First of all, why should somebody go to the bar with a gun? There is no war in the bar unless you start it. So the bar owners, again, this is the vigilance we are talking about. Again, if you are going to be liberal with weapons just because you need this client to buy your drinks, then you are a collaborator in this crime. But two, I think Uganda have enjoyed the peace for so long that we forget that elsewhere people are killed even without guns. The other day, someone killed his brother because of land. People here are killing their parents because of land that they have delayed to die. They want to inherit. Look at the US. I think even recently there was another mass shooting. Every other 2 days, there is a case of mass killings in the US, for example, with all the sophistication they have. In New York alone, every day, 17,000 people are killed. So you can imagine the scare.
That could be the solution of gun violence.
No, so of course, people have to get saved. But gun violence in this country, not everybody is free to carry a gun. You must apply for it and you're authorized. And therefore, if you know somebody who has a gun, dear listeners, or who is threatening people with a weapon, again, inform the police. You see, we are killed by our own cowardice or our naivety. You see, if I report, then I will be seen as the bad person. Be bad as you save lives.
All right. Afande Donald, gun violence in this country. We have also had killings in barracks. Someone gets some argument with a fellow armed man or person, and the solution is to kill.
I think the problem is killing, the act, not the guns. You can actually kill yourself. We have more people dying of accidents than the guns.
Yes.
Afande, we have also issues with the guns. For those who have operate mobile monies elsewhere, they close by 6. because all the cases that we have, especially coming from that side, those who have been robbing mobile money because of the guns, and we're scared who owns the gun and how the gun is used in this country.
That's why I told you the issue is the act, not the gun. So, in this country, you're free to own a gun if you're mature and responsible and you have a certificate. Private guns can be purchased and owned in this country. The law is clear. The biggest problem is how we use those guns. And there is no law which says when you get a gun, kill your neighbor, kill your wife. Otherwise, if it was like that, because there are so many people in our barracks, in UPDF, in UWA, who have guns, and for a very long time. I am very sure General Koleji has owned a gun for more than 30 years. We don't go around shooting in streets. The issue is crime, robbery, murder. That's what we should actually interest ourselves. If you talk about guns, even if you removed all guns and you kept them, people will kill people with poison. They will tie them with ropes. They will use knives. They will use pangas and kill them. I was in Masaka in 2017. The Jambia had nothing to do with guns, but they were more deadly than people using guns. If there is anybody with a gun illegally, that should be an issue to discuss. If there is a police officer misusing his gun, they must have a conversation. And for some time back, we had an issue with our officers, and we had a serious debate and at the training level, the baraza in the barracks, who signs the gun, when does he return it, when does he use it, why would one have a gun or use a gun when he's not on duty, where do you leave the gun, how do you keep it, and so on and so forth. If you're at the station and you relax or sleep and somebody takes that gun, the whole community is in trouble. That's why we're talking about there's a tendency of people thinking somebody has taken a gun from police, they are weak. Yes, they are weak. But this gun will be used on you, on your relative, on your friend. So you must help the institutions. If there is a problem, if there is a drunkard who is having a gun and is a police officer, report as fast as possible. If you know our officer out there is responsible, when he gets a gun, he goes to the bar. Please, don't wait for him when he's drunk and is using it to report.
Thank you.
Quickly get out of the bar, call the OC. One of you is here with a gun, but the owner of the bar will give him the first bottle, the second, the fourth. You will hear bullets coming out of that small bar.
All right. Time is not on our side. We may end this conversation here, and I'm going to get to your final comment on that. But before we end, as you give us your last remarks, there are serious issues that I never wanted us to miss. We can make mention in a few seconds. Tribalism is the talk of the day in Uganda today, and we all of us know where this can cause. This is a very bad seed that no one would love to plant, especially in the public. We know what has been taking place elsewhere in the world, and especially here in Africa. How best can we organize ourselves to address that in terms of security? But secondly, let's talk about community vigilance. The other day, a recent past along Gayaza Road, around Akamwesi, if you know that place, someone threw a Protestant bag there with rubbish alongside the road, and the road was closed for 3 hours when everybody was distancing themselves from that person. Is this kind of sensitivity, community vigilance, or it is indeed fear that people have? But also, Fande Koleji, as we are ending, have you considered going into negotiations with these rebels, because we are spending about 70 to 100 billion Uganda shillings annually to facilitate Operation Shujaa? How about if we came to negotiations with the ADF and we give them this 100 billion and then we bring them on board? Would have also solved the case of finance and of expenditure, but also would have promoted peace. Let me start with you, Honorable. We have only 2 minutes.
Yeah, in 2 minutes, I think the cause of that is the mindset. And I remember I mentioned emotional intelligence. Why would you really do that when you can actually have other venues? Because what I must say is that the country is not ending tomorrow. When you really have a proper mindset, emotional intelligence, you will ask your questions why and how. For example, when you mentioned about somebody shooting, because somebody has gone with your wife and then you shoot yourself, are you going to find wives in the grave? Why don't you look for other avenues of solving a problem?
Yes.
So at the end of the day, you find that mindset and emotional intelligence is very important in this aspect. So when you don't have a proper mindset, you don't have a proper emotional intelligence, you'll end up tribal, you'll end up doing all sorts of evil. So that is very important, and that's what I urge Ugandans really to do. Exercise emotional intelligence, exercise proper mindset, and we shall be good citizens.
All right. Thank you, Honorable Abdul. Afande Donald.
About tribalism, I think tribalism has no space in this country, and it's an old school thing. People have been in school, people have been exposed. I mean, if you ask my son now, who is 10 years, his tribe, he will struggle to tell you his tribe. His best friends, he doesn't care whether they are Baganda or they are Bacholi, but they are his friends. Two, when it comes to security forces, it's don't ask, don't tell. Your tribe is not put anywhere when you're training, when you're deployed. So I don't think tribalism will really make sense in this country. About abandoned Kavera, closing the road, that's very good. I wish we can see more people calling us for their Vera, for abandoned bags of books, for things they suspect. Nobody should become an expert in what he has seen, because there is no clear prescription of how a bomb should be kept or carried or left somewhere. You see something you don't understand, don't become an expert. Call us. Don't care how many times the bomb squad will come in your area to find Kavera of rubbish or books or abandoned clothes. Please continue calling us. Let the roads be closed for 3 hours and we don't lose anybody, than being open and you're moving and then we die. Last is about alertness and vigilance. That's a weapon. That's the only weapon you have, and we need it. You have a bar, you have a hotel, you have bus park, you have Chikubo. Be alert, be vigilant. Ask if you have a hotel, and the president was clear, said ask for a national ID, because your Kasim Muhammad Muhwezi Byakatonda that you tell us may not be you. Indangamuntu is what really tells us who you are. A few questions can put the terrorists out of place. They train a lot, they are patient, they survey, they take time in their missions, they don't want to lose anything. So anywhere where they find measures or strategies to stop them, they will not go there. Thank you.
Welcome, Afande. Lastly but not least, General Felix Kuleji.
I normally refer to those who go tribal as bankrupt. When you have nothing to offer in terms of ideas, you resort to tribes. Yesterday, a friend of mine was in a discussion on one of the stations, and they decided to look at ministers. Out of the 81 ministers, 15 were from Central. 15. That is those who could go there to sing their song of tribalism of one region and what have you. And then you have a whole from Kafu to the mountains of Muhabura, and you are calling it one tribe. Honestly, something is wrong with you. But because we were forcefully brought together as a country, we still look at ourselves as tribesmen and women. In fact, I have an issue with the policy of having to be asked my tribe at a police station. I'm making a statement, I have been robbed, or I am a witness, and you're asking my tribe. What has it got to do with what I have brought here? Or you go to hospital and there is a section for tribe. These are colonial methods that we should discard. 2, we must encourage patriotism. Somebody used to ask, can I be taught to love my mother? Yes, your mother brought you out of her womb. Uganda was brought together by force. I have been to universities, 6 of them. I asked 350 students. None was a Ugandan. They are either Rugwara, Banyankore, Baganda, Acholi. So when shall we have Ugandans unless we inculcate the Ugandanness in us? Thank you.
Most welcome, sir. This brings us to the end of our discussion. UBC Ground Zero have been discussing community vigilance amidst security threats in the Uganda or in the country. We've been having Honorable Dr. Abdul Biakatonda, MP Workers. Also had Senior Superintendent of Police Donald Mhwezi, Community Policing Department, and also we had Brigadier General Felix Koreji, Defense Spokesperson, and you, the people of Uganda, those who have been on the other side of radio, and also those who called in to participate in this discussion, and those who sent you messages. We cannot take you for granted. Until next time, same program, same stations. I thank you all, gentlemen, for making time to come to educate, inform, and transform the people of Uganda. Security is for everyone, and the community is part of this very interesting security. You've heard from my guests in the studios. I cannot add any word. Thank you, and thank you so much for availing yourself. Until next time, same program, same station. Ampaidi Amanuchega is my name. For God and my country, allow me now to sign out.
That was Ground Zero Season 2, a production of Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, UBC, inspiring Uganda. It's hot.
We passed it. We didn't know exactly what the problem was on the ground. There is no pretending about the effect of this thing. There's no pretending about it. Nobody should. It's a problem.
It's balanced.
This is not the stage at which you start planning to tax a commodity like coffee, especially from down there.
It's intellectually engaging.
The Constitution provides that the land must be registered under the custodial tenure system, which is one of those that's recognized by the Constitution.
Ground Zero Season 2, live and syndicated on your public and national broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
It's swollen, baby. Unajua kwako sijiwezi, ndo maana yote unanifanyia, vituko kwa macho nashuhudia, kama limbwata nishajilia, wako ndege nimetulia, moyo wa upendo nishautua, hata wanione zoba zoba, kwako nimeshatulia, wanasema unagawa sana, ila nitavumilia, hata wanione zoba zoba, kwako nimeshatulia, wanasema unagawa sana, ila nitavumilia, hata nitukane simwachi, anichiti simwachi, nione crazy simwachi, simwachi, oh simwachi, hata mnitukane simwachi, anichiti simwachi, nione crazy simwachi, simwachi, simwachi.
You're making me lose the control, control my body solo. And I want for you if you no go, they control my body control. Your pom pom nice, make her test them, go down for me, go down for me. She making me go loco, international loco. She making me go places all night. No traffic, I'm driving. And then when everything no work, na me she calling now. She making me go places all night. No traffic, I'm driving. And then when everything no work, na me she calling now.
Wako nimeshatulia, wanasema unagawa sana, ila nitavumilia, hata wanione zoba zoba. Wako nimeshatulia, wanasema unagawa sana, ila nitavumilia, hata nitukane simwachi, anichiti simwachi, nione crazy simwachi, simwachi, oh simwachi, hata mnitukane simwachi.